You know, sometimes this life can get rough. You get knocked down, but you gotta get up. Keep going.
Hello and welcome to this 261 Fearless Empowerment Talk. Thank you very much for joining us today. 261 Fearless is a global women's running network that uses running to unite and empower women all around the world. Now, we really believe that education is a key part of this. Education is so important for empowerment. So we use our platform to bring you our series of empowerment talks. These are conversations that we have with women who are in positions of leadership, in roles of business, sport, health, and more. We love to learn from them and be inspired by them, and we want to share that with everybody. Outside of our internal education programs, this is our education program for the public. So with no more waiting, I'm going to introduce today's guest, which is Dr. Romana Boiga. She is one of the coaches at 261 Club Switzerland. She leads the group in Frick. Now, Romana gained a PhD in maths. She currently works as a 10-year track scientist at the Paul Scherrer Institute. She's a mum to twins. She speaks 3 languages, and I've heard she even plays the flute. So, wow. What we really want to look at today is what it's like to be a 261 coach when you are a busy person. And it sounds like she's the ideal person to speak to about this. And I'm interested to know how 261 has helped her along the way as well. So, Romana, welcome.
Thanks a lot for the invitation, Juliet, and the introduction.
I'm not sure that it was the best introduction, and I have to admit that I read your CV and I didn't understand a lot of it. So perhaps you want to start by just telling us a little bit more about what you actually do.
Yes, of course. So currently I'm a scientist in the field of data science at the Paul Scherrer Institute, which is one of the biggest research institutes within Switzerland. And here I work in the so-called Laboratory of Waste Management. And in our laboratory, our special focus is radioactive waste. So Switzerland wants to make sure that nuclear waste can be stored safely in the right location for thousands of years. And we provide the scientific basis for that. So I specifically work at the interface between real-world, laboratory, and theoretical data. And so originally, as you mentioned, I studied to become a mathematician. So my personal expertise is in modeling of natural phenomena. And following, of course, the disruptive impact of machine learning and artificial intelligence nowadays, I apply new data science and machine learning methods in the field of waste management. So maybe to give a more specific example, I worked, for example, on the analysis of drill core images. So we use machine learning techniques on thousands of images from rocks of the underground, and which help us then to get physical rock properties within less than a second. And this allows a very, very fast characterization of the underground from one single image instead of doing expensive lab measurements that often take hours or days or weeks. So in general, this accelerates research not only in the field of nuclear waste management, but can also be used for geothermal energy, CO2 sequestration, or pollutants transport. So this is just one example. In other projects, for example, they go more in the direction of accelerating just the computation. So because if you have some physical models, for example, they are highly accurate, but it's very time consuming to even do one simulation that can last minutes or hours. And if you have to do many of them, like if you want to do some optimization, for example, then you want to have fast models. And that is a thing you can get by machine learning. And that's mainly what I'm doing. And my daily routine does not feel very special. So I go to the office, we have some group meetings, we discuss scientific results. I also supervise and mentor students. And then I hopefully find time to continue on my own research. So this is basically what I'm doing.
Wow. That's fascinating. You're a true woman in STEM. I don't know if you know that, phrase. Yeah. Aside
No?
from the topic that we were going to talk about, how was your journey through that process from going to university and into that career? How's that been as a woman? Is it very male oriented domain, and how's that been for you?
Yes, of course. I mean, mathematics is a kind of man-dominated domain. So already during my studies, the women were a minority, and also among the professors, there were hardly any women. But luckily, I did my PhD. So my PhD supervisor was a woman, so that was also really encouraging for me. And then after my PhD, I switched to industry. So I switched a bit the topic. But then by moving back to Switzerland, I had the opportunity to go back to work with a career return program that was specifically meant somehow for women. And that's how I came back to research again.
Fantastic. So yeah, the pathways were there. You didn't have to create them, but they weren't very well used, would you say?
No, and I think this is also not the most straightforward pathway for being a scientist, the way I had.
That's really interesting. And I know, at what point in this journey did you become involved in 261 Fearless? Because I understand you've been part of it for about 10 years. Is that right?
Exactly. So I became involved during my time in Klagenfurt during my PhD. So before I started in Graz, and I always loved doing sports, and I loved running, because there I participated in several sports courses, and one was about running marathons and half marathons. So with this team, I also participated and trained for my first half marathons. But then for doing my PhD, I moved to Klagenfurt. And there I was searching for another running group. And so I found out about 261 Fearless, the club that was led by Edith Suschmann. And already on my second working day in Klagenfurt, I went to the meet run, and I really loved it to go running with the 261 ladies there. And this is, almost 10 years ago now.
Wow. Can you remember back to your first experience at that meet run? What was it that you appreciated or you liked so much that made you go back?
I think it's, on the one hand, especially the structure of the meet run, that it was not about doing competitive runs, but more about having fun and doing some games, but also trying to improve on the running technique. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I really like that it was just a group of women, that there are no men involved. Yeah, that's it.
Great. And I mean, you're a coach now. At what point did you step up to become a coach?
I think I was a member of the 261 Club in Klagenfurt for around 1 year, but then I somehow felt I also want to be a coach myself, and I was also encouraged by Edith and Horst a lot. Yeah, and then I participated in the trainer course, and that's how I started my coaching career.
And you've coached at a few different clubs. Tell me about the. I think I'm right that you're at Frick now, but you've been at others before. Is that right?
Exactly, because when I finished my PhD, due to job changes, I also moved again back to another town in Austria. It was Leoben, and there did not really exist such a meet run. So, and I was really missing it, and that's why I started a new club there in this town where I lived and worked. But actually, that was kind of a problem, because I mainly lived there Monday to Thursday, working a lot, because I wanted to have Fridays either off or only working a limited amount of time to be able to travel and see my partner. He was living in Italy at that time. And so I did not really have a social life there. And so it was very hard for me to advertise 261 and to find some women that participated. So sometimes there were a handful of women. On other days, I was standing there alone. But then I was lucky because after some months, Marlene Prosch joined my meet runs. And so this was kind of a game changer because we decided we will close this group and make a new one in her hometown, which was about 10 kilometers away, because she knew a lot of people there. She had the contacts. And so we started a new group in Trofeiach. I think at the first meet run, there were already 10 women coming. And this was then a lot of fun coaching a bigger group and a very motivated group. So this was then the third club I was coaching at. But then I got pregnant, and around the 6th month, I wasn't able to run anymore. So it was time for me to stop the coaching. But luckily, we found some other motivated ladies for Trofeiach, for this club, that were volunteering for coaching. So I did not need to worry how the club would continue. And after giving birth, I moved again back to my parents' house, which was a bit far away from Trofeiach. So coaching was not possible at that time anymore. Also because I was traveling a lot with the kids. My partner still lived in Italy and then in Switzerland. So we were traveling to different countries to live together. But in 2020, we finally decided that as a whole family, we will move to Switzerland. And I was, again, kind of lucky because just half an hour car drive from where I live here in Switzerland, there was already an existing 261 club, the one in Frick. And so I joined there first as a member and soon helped Monica and Natasha as a coach. And I still do that. And so this is club number 4. And well, currently I'm a bit of thinking in the future and I have the vision of building another club here in the town where I live. Yeah, and we will start with our first meet runs in the next weeks. Let's see how that evolves.
Oh, exciting. So that's really, yeah, that shows me that life's had its ups and downs and challenges with work and babies and etc. But 261 has stayed with you throughout that.
Exactly. So 261 was one of the constants throughout these years. And I think that's a main reason why it remained part of my life, because it was a fixed point, and is now every week, and a thing that did not change also while moving countries. So the 261 meet runs worldwide are organized in the same way, and so they are very familiar to me, and they did not change at all. And I think that is what I really liked and why it remained part of my life.
Yeah, and so a safe, sorry, you go.
Yeah, it's a safe place somehow. And what I also liked about the 261 is the global network, because I live now hours away from home, but when I come back, for example, to Klagenfurt, and I meet with the 261 ladies, it's like coming home, because we have a lot of memories that we can share, and that's thanks to 261.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, so it sounds like it's been a sort of a safe place where you've had a chance to be yourself, and connect with other women despite all the turmoil and changes that are going on around you.
Definitely, yeah.
And in terms of the coaching, what do you enjoy most about being a coach rather than a member?
Well, what I enjoy most about coaching is to see all the smiling faces of the ladies at the end of every single meet run. So, and in general, I really like to help others, and I also like to hand over the knowledge I have. And if I see then how the women improve or are encouraged to have a healthier lifestyle, for example, then this is very satisfactory for me.
Mm. Do you find that it's something very different to your work life, or are there crossovers between the two?
Good question. On the one hand, it's completely different, but on the other hand, I mean, in my work life, I also have to supervise students, for example, and there the education program of 261 also really helped me, and I can use the things in my work life as well.
Yeah, so leadership qualities at work, and then in the 261 setting are similar as well, I guess.
Yes, definitely. And also how you organize things or plan things, that also helps both in coaching and in work.
And I know a lot of our coaches say that one thing they get from coaching is the ability to think on their feet, because they go to a meet run and the weather's not as expected, or the participants are not of the abilities or the numbers they expected, and they learn that ability to think quickly and be creative. So maybe that transfers across too.
Exactly. You have to adapt very, very quickly, and that's also a thing you need during your daily life and in work.
Yeah, fabulous. I mean, I'm struck, obviously, through what you've said about how busy you must be, especially with twins and then traveling and work and 261. And I know a lot of women maybe think that they would like to take on a coaching role, but they worry that they don't have the time. With not that much support, with your partner being away a lot of the time, how have you managed to find the time to fit this into your busy life?
Yeah. No, to be honest, it's not always easy to find the time. But when I started working again after giving birth, I realized that it is also very important for myself to take care of myself and to take time off. And since I really love to be a coach, the weekly meet runs are an opportunity for me to escape from the daily life as well. And that helps for sure. But of course, it only works because I have a really encouraging partner. And so my weekly meet runs are really considered like an appointment for meetings during work. So it's scheduled in our calendars. And yeah, but of course, if he's traveling and we have nobody here to take care of the kids, then I also have to say, no, today I can't coach. And then it's important to have one or two other coaches in the club that are in charge and could do that. Otherwise, I think it will not work. But in general, I think if you have something that you really love, you will always find time to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And what you said there about that it's something which is for you, and not all the other people that you have to give to on a daily basis. But even still, I know it can be hard for women to prioritize themselves over their families and their careers. How have you managed to do that?
Well, sometimes it's really hard to think of yourself, but especially this year, I had the great opportunity to participate in the Women's Running Technique Advisor course that was led by Horst and Marlies and Edith. And well, we had a lot of theoretical input on women and training and running and biology and biomechanics. And there I really understood how important it is especially for us women, due to all these hormonal changes throughout the aging process, to do some sports and to take care of ourselves. And especially since last summer, I really developed a sports routine, because I know how important it is for me and for my health. And that helps to fit the trends and to take some time.
Yeah, I guess when you have children, you want to be healthy for them, to be a role model, and to be able to be there for them in the future as a healthy, strong mother.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I also want to show them how important it is to stay healthy and how important sports is.
Sounds like you're an amazing role model.
I try to.
One of the other things I wanted to ask you was that 261 coaches are volunteers. That all that you're doing for your clubs, I know, but I want to share with others, is giving of your own time. What benefits do you get and do you see in others from volunteering?
Yeah, I think, as I said, the best thing about volunteering is to really go home every week after the meet run and knowing that I have done something not only for myself in terms of exercise, but I also helped others doing something for themselves and making them happy. So really the smiling faces of the women after every meet run, this gives me a lot. And well, within 261 as a coach, I also get a lot of education from 261 Fearless, and by volunteering I can give a little bit back of it to other women, and that is also a very good feeling.
Yeah, self-satisfaction.
Yes.
I think it's important to talk about that, because I think often people do feel that they take on those kind of volunteer roles purely to give back, and to do things for other people. But I think an important part of it is doing it for ourselves, because it makes us feel good.
Yes,
which is
definitely.
fine. Yeah. And being part of 261 Fearless, how has the community helped you along your journey through life?
Well, I think the 261 community is a very special community because it is all about empowering and encouraging other women, independent of their physical abilities and their backgrounds. And it's a global community. And during my journey, I met a lot of lovely ladies from different countries and found some new friends. And well, thanks to 261 Fearless, I also had a very special experience in South America, because during my PhD, I spent 1 month in Brazil. And at that time, there was the 261 Fearless Ambassador program active. And I found a woman on the internet in Brazil who was a 261 Fearless Ambassador. So I wrote to her and contacted her. And without knowing me, she invited me to her house for a weekend. And we went for running together with her friends. And I'm still in contact with her after so many years now. And I think that is also a reason why I love 261, because I know wherever I will go worldwide, if there is a 261 club or some ladies connected to 261, then I will find someone that is supportive and with whom I can share my passion.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's such a great story about, yeah, knowing that there's someone you can connect with who
Yes.
understands that, yeah, all the joys of running and the importance of women supporting each other. Fantastic. Great. Well, I'm in awe of all that you've done and all that you are still doing, and just, thank you for all that you give to 261 Fearless and have done for a decade. And yeah, it's wonderful to hear your story, and also to be reassured that it's possible to be a 261 coach and still have a really busy life, and that the benefits you get outweigh all the effort that you put in. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Romana.
Thank you for the interview.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was great. I'll just pause it.
Yeah.